Hey everyone, it's Tim Holtz, and I wanted to share in this video a way that we can transform our village dwelling into a winter cabin. Really cool. So if you're not familiar with the village dwelling, there's another video on YouTube that I show how you can create the structure, and that's going to be the dwelling itself. And this is done using a Biggs XL die, and this is going to give you the structure and the base. But the cool thing about it is there's so many different ways that we can alter this structure into something different. There's a bell tower video to show how to do that, and we have a lot of great new things coming next year in 2016 of how we can continue to alter this. So this is one of my favorites because this is a really fun way that we can give this structure complete personality, because all of these elements, these are not structural elements, these are decorative elements. So this is the Village Winter, and what that is that's going to give a winter overlay to the dwelling. So I want to share some tips on how I did that. Now again, this is a Biggs die, it's a steel rule die. So what this cuts out is this is going to cut out all of these accents. These accents are going to be all these little snow drips and icicles and frames. And this is really, let me get this out of the way so you can really see it. This is what we create. Look at that. Look at that great personality, little icicles off of that, little window frames. And I'm going to talk a lot more about the detail and give you some tricks as to what I did for this. And this is still, again, not attached because I wanted to go in and be able to add my tea light just to give it some kind of nice, warm, wintry glow in there. Look at that. Oh, so cool. So here's how we can go in and alter this. Now, the fact that it's a steel rule die is going to allow me to cut felt. So I just took regular white felt from the craft store, and these are the three little snowy pieces we have for the roof and the dormer and the chimney. You'll see that. Then it also cuts out these icicles. Now it cuts out the straight icicles. There's only one section on the die, so you'll need to cut that out twice. This is cut out of Ideology Frosted. This is a frosted plastic. You could cut this out of cardstock or anything else, but I love the icy look of this and the fact that it's plastic, steel rule die, perfect, no problem. Then we have these angled icicles, and it was really important to have so much detail in this that we actually created a right and a left angle of the icicles so they would be different on both sides. And you're going to need to cut out that little pair of angled icicles 3 times. So you'll run that through 3 times so you can get 3 sets of those angled icicles. And then of course we have the window frame. Now in the bell tower, we did an arched window frame to kind of give it a nice church effect. But this one I wanted to be able to add some color because the regular dwelling is just the window itself. These window frames really allow you to add a colorful personality to any of the windows on the dwelling. So this one, again, there's 1 on the die. I cut that out because I need 5 windows. So these are the elements that die cuts out. These are all of your winter elements. But I also gave this a little log cabin effect. And so I want to share how I did that. What I did is I started with my structure out of index stock. If you watched the first video, which is really important to watch, you know that my base is 110 pound just index stock from the office supply store. But what I wanted to do for the log cabin effect is I took one of my textured surfaces. This is from Ideology. This is just a corrugate board. You could rip apart a cardboard box if you wanted to, but this is just corrugate cardboard. Now, the corrugate cardboard, usually when I'm applying a treatment to the walls, I Xyron the two together, but this corrugate does not like to bend around. So I do this one different. That's why I wanted to call it out. So what I would do first is take my structure and I would do what I normally do, which is just kind of fold all of my tabs, do all of my things, get that ready. And that's going to be my base structure. What I do for the walls is I completely cut them apart. So I go in with my scissors and I remove all of the tabs. I just follow that score line and I cut off these tabs because the corrugate, because it's bumpy, is not going to want to glue down. So if you try to put the roof or something on, those little bumps are going to make the roof not lay flat. It's going to make the walls not lay flat. So you cut everything apart. Even the 2 connecting walls, that little bend, it's not going to want to create a nice corner on the dwelling. So we're going to cut out, think of this as just individual wall panels, all right? Now the door is cut, but I don't want the door to match the walls. I just think that's weird. So I cut off this door. I gave my dwelling a different door. I just used cardstock. So I cut out all of those pieces, and I do that for both of the elements and get all of that cut out. Cut that one, cut off the tabs. So I don't need the tabs, I don't need the door. What I end up with are just these 4 wall pieces. Now to give it the effect, I just take a little bit of distressed paint. I just use picket fence. I shake that up, I put some on my craft sheet. I use a blending tool and I pounce some of that white paint because that white paint is just gonna make the logs kind of look snowy. And you can see it's very messy. I don't try to just hit the high points. I really go in and pounce in with a blending tool so it looks like some of the snow built up here and there. Then once that dries, I'll go over that white paint with some distress ink and a blending tool. Different, change the foam of course, because we don't want to get paint on there, but I just add some of that walnut stain and that's going to give these panels kind of more of a woodsy effect. Once that's all done and I painted and inked these, then I will take all of my siding and add it here. And I do that really before I build the structure. I just get all of my tabs ready. So once this is painted and inked, this is adhesive back, but even though it's adhesive back, it still doesn't like to fold. So I will still go in with my glue and I'm just going to add, so I peel off that paper. I still like to go in with a liquid glue. I want to make sure that my siding is on there. It's something about this corrugate. It just gets really kind of crabby when you're trying to make it dimensional, I suppose. And I just line it right up. And that's why I fold down all of my tabs so I have an easier way to line it up and I don't have to worry about actually gluing over a tab. So you're gonna go in and you're just gonna glue on all of your paneling. And once you do that, you build the house like normal. It's really, really simple to do. So let's talk about the overlay itself. Well, you can see here, let me get rid of that tea light, that log siding turned out really good. I went in, added my frosted. So this is just using some cut pieces of frosted and I glued it inside my windows because that's what gives it that kind of warm glow. It really helps when the tea light's in there. See, it just helps reflect that light. So much better than if you didn't have anything there at all or just use clear plastic. I think the frosted kind of diffuses it a little bit, gives it a cool effect. So here you can see on my door, I just use pieces of cardstock. I'll see if the camera can pick it up. And then I use some of my tiny fasteners, just the mini fasteners, and added that just so I have a little interest to the door. And I always leave the door cracked open a little bit on all the dwellings so some of the light can come through. I did the porch just normal, but here, if the camera's gonna pick it up, instead of using those paper pieces, I just went out and took twigs from the backyard and just glued those in as my post, gave it a really cool lodge effect. Now my windows, I used my window frames, but then I added a little bit of snow in there. Can you see that? And all this is a little bit of glossy accents and sprinkle in some rock candy glitter. Just some distressed rock candy glitter, and then it looks like snow is kind of drifted in all the windows. So again, it's a little glossy accents, a little bit of rock candy glitter, and that's what added the snow effect. So now let's go into the pieces that the die does, and that's gonna be the snowy felt. So simple to do. You just go in. I prefer to use hot glue when it comes to felt. Now on your snowdrift, and I'll hold it in my hand so you can see, there is a definite V cut out of this. Even though it's kind of a wavy thing, one side is gonna have a definite V, and that V is your reference point to go right over that dormer. So that's where that piece goes. So I start there, I add a little bit of hot glue, stick that down, and just fold it right over the roof. And you do it before you attach your chimney. Your other little piece of felt, there's a skinny piece that just gets glued right around that chimney piece. So you can see there's snow all the way around, and then we glue that on. Here I just used a little bit of polyfill to kind of just make a little smoke. And then our other piece of felt, that is for our dormer. And if you watch the video, remember it's backwards of what you think, or at least what I think. That point is what's gonna go into the roof line. It doesn't really matter which side drips off, but I put a little bit of hot glue, I lay that down, another little bit of hot glue, I fold that, a little bit of hot glue and fold that, and it tacks down really, really quick. Super simple. Now, if you want your felt to be glittery, I don't know if it's showing up sparkle, here's the trick. Take some glitter, sprinkle it onto the felt, and use your fingers and just rub it in, and it kind of gets caught in the little fuzzies, and it makes for a nice sparkly felt. So we've added our felted snow, and this could be paper if you want, but I thought felt was really nice. I also took a piece of felt and just attached it over the base because I wanted it to sit in some snow. And then we have these icicles. Now the icicles are really cool because the back piece, I just put, again, a little hot glue. You could also use glossy accents for this, but hot glue is instant. Glossy accents is going to take probably a minute or so for it to set up. But when you work with this, it's just a thin little bead of hot glue. Set that in there. So that's what you do with the first straight strip. It goes all the way across the back. The second straight strip, I just cut it in sections and I put a little bit on this side and a little bit on that side. I just use two little elements of it. There's our angled pieces, and if you can see that right there. So one gets glued here, one gets glued there. They're already cut to size. You do the same thing for the other side, one there, one there. And then we've got the front of our dormer. So here I just glued in with hot glue, and then I just snip off the excess that I don't need. It's that simple to add your icicles. But it's really great that this one die of these really fun wintry elements transform a basic dwelling into a wintry cabin. And then of course for some embellishments, I took one of the Ideology Woodlands, just the mini one, and glued that on. And here I just made some snowballs by taking a little bit of multi-medium, putting it around some pearl beads, and then rolling them in glitter. And I just stacked those up. Because again, that gave me a little reference. So when I put my house down, I've got some accents in the front. But a real cool way and a very simple way that you can take all of these little creative elements and really dress it up. And you can have a lot of fun by experimenting with different types of materials and structures to go on your base wall. Because remember, as long as you remember when you're doing your dwelling, start with your index card. Anything can be siding. You could use that adhesive back wood veneer from Artcraft. That's really, really cool. You could use metal sheets, metallic cardstock, fabric, burlap, cork. The sky's the limit. So really great way that we can dress up these dwellings and really have a great time just making something a little winter cabin. Who wouldn't want to do this not only for a table setting? If you were going to do this for an ornament, yes, you would probably glue this to the base, but then I think you're limited because you can't add a tea light. But if you were going to do this for a tree, I would probably glue this to the base and then maybe cut a hole in the back where I could insert a Christmas light. So if it's hanging on the tree, you'd still get some light in there. So have fun with these, and I hope you're inspired to really make your own custom village.